Here. Imagine entering a forest where every sound vanishes, no birds, no wind, not even your own footsteps. The deeper you go, the heavier the silence becomes, pressing against your ears like a physical force. Hikers call it the silent forest. A place where the world isn't just quiet, it's been silenced. Even your own breathing feels intrusive, your voice swallowed before it can echo. The forest absorbs every noise, leaving you alone with the frantic beat of your heart. As you walk, the absence of sound becomes unsettling, your mind straining to fill the void. Shadows seem to move with intent, and every imagined rustle sparks anxiety. This isn't peaceful quiet, it's an active, unnerving void. The forest strips away your sense of security, forcing you to confront your own unease. Here, the ordinary world ends, and the mystery of the silent forest begins. It's a place that doesn't just take sound, it takes your certainty, leaving you exposed. The silence is not empty, it's a presence waiting, and once you cross the threshold, you realize the real danger is what you start to hear inside your own mind. The silent forest has no name on any map, but locals call it the Devouring Grove. It's a patch of ancient woodland in northern Europe, ignored by outsiders but feared by those who live nearby. Legends warn children to stay away, but the truth is stranger than any fairy tale. Hikers report a sudden total dead zone. No animals, no wind, just oppressive silence. One man's audio journal captures the moment, cheerful sounds, then nothing but his own ragged breathing. The silence feels enforced, unnatural, as if the forest itself is swallowing every sound. No scientific records exist, no surveys, no studies, just a blank spot on the map. Locals refuse to talk, insisting the forest is best left alone. They avoid the woods, build their homes facing away, and change the subject if pressed. The forest is a shared secret, a place so strange the world pretends it doesn't exist. Its silence is not just absence, it's a warning, and those who ignore it rarely return unchanged. In absolute silence, the mind turns inward, inventing sounds to fill the void. Visitors to the silent forest report hearing their own heartbeat, swallowing even the blood in their veins. But soon the silence fills with something else. Faint whispers, just beyond understanding. These aren't external voices, but thoughts that feel planted, invasive, and deeply unsettling. Is it the brain's response to sensory deprivation, or something more sinister? Some flee the forest in terror, convinced the silence itself is alive and watching. The forest doesn't just consume sound, it feeds on sanity. Local legends warn the forest has a will, and it punishes those who linger. The true nature of the silence remains a mystery, but one thing is clear. Some silences are best left unbroken. Locals whisper of a rule: never stay in the silent forest longer than 13 minutes. 13 isn't superstition, it's survival. Those who respect the limit leave with only an unsettling memory, but cross into the 14th minute and the silence changes. Whispers become clear, personal, echoing your deepest fears. Some who stayed too long vanished, others returned broken, unable to speak of what happened. The rule is simple: 30 minutes, then leave. No one knows why this threshold exists, but no one dares test it twice. The forest gives you a brief window of eerie peace. After that, it starts to take something back. The legend keeps children away and outsiders at bay. The forest's true nature is revealed only to those who overstay, and they rarely return the same. 13 minutes is all the forest allows before it claims more than just your silence. The forest's reputation is built on chilling stories, not official records. One tale tells of two sisters picking berries. One steps past the silent threshold and is never seen again. Her sibling watches, helpless, as panic overtakes her, clawing at her ears, fleeing deeper into the woods. Hunters vanish, campsites left untouched, search parties turn back, overwhelmed by dread and disorientation. Rescuers report feeling watched, their own fear used against them. The forest doesn't need walls, it uses the mind as its barrier. Common threads run through every account: sudden panic, hallucinations, the sense of a malevolent presence. Disappearances are accepted as the price of living near the woods. The forest takes people and always has. The reasons are never questioned. Here, reality's rules no longer apply. The most baffling mystery is the silence of those who live near the forest. It's not just secrecy, it's as if the community has chosen to forget. Generations grow up with warnings, but memories blur and details vanish when pressed. The forest's influence seems to extend beyond its borders, clouding minds as well as swallowing sound. Homes are built facing away, roads avoid the woods, and old records are missing or incomplete. Outsiders find only polite refusals and empty archives. The community acts as an unwitting guardian, protecting both themselves and the forest's secret. Their silence mirrors the forest's unnatural, unsettling, and absolute. Is it a coping strategy, or does the forest truly erase memory? In the end, the silent forest devours not just sound, but the very stories that might explain it. To understand the silent forest, we must look at the science of extreme quiet. Humans have created places that replicate this silence, like the anechoic chamber at Orfield Laboratories. It absorbs almost all sound. It's become a laboratory for testing the limits of human sanity. The experience is disorienting, the silence is aggressive, forcing you to listen to your own body. It quickly becomes a source of intense claustrophobia and anxiety. People report feeling dread and hallucinations. This quiet serves as an analogue for the silent forest. It is an unnatural environment our minds fight against. If a small space can induce psychological distress, what would be the effect of an entire landscape that does the same? Could a natural environment replicate an anechoic chamber? The answer may lie deep beneath the forest floor. Acoustic scientists know geological formations dramatically affect sound. Large porous rocks like sandstone or volcanic tuff are excellent sound absorbers. A vast deposit beneath the forest could act like a giant sponge, soaking up sound waves. The forest floor, with its thick moss, would further contribute. Imagine a network of caverns and porous rock strata creating a sound shadow. Sounds would be drawn downward and dissipated, creating a pocket of unnatural silence. The silent forest could be the most extreme example, a geological freak of nature. The science of silence goes beyond mere physics and geology. It delves deep into the realms of neurology and psychology. Our brains are constantly processing a torrent of sensory information to build our model of reality. Hearing is a crucial part of this process. It gives us spatial awareness, alerts us to danger, and provides a constant, subtle backdrop to our existence. When you abruptly remove that entire sensory stream, the brain is thrown into a state of confusion and alarm. It is like a pilot suddenly losing all their instruments in mid-flight. The first response is often panic. This sensory deprivation has well-documented effects. The lack of ambient sound can disrupt our vestibular system, the part of our inner ear and brain that controls balance and spatial orientation. This explains why people in the silent forest report feeling dizzy or experiencing vertigo, even while standing on flat ground. The world feels unstable because a key source of stabilizing information has vanished. The brain struggles to reconcile what the eyes are seeing with the complete lack of corresponding sound, leading to a profound sense of physical and mental disorientation that can be incredibly frightening. Furthermore, the human brain is a prediction machine. It constantly makes tiny predictions about what it expects to sense next. You expect to hear the rustle of leaves when you see the wind blow. You expect to hear an echo when you shout in a large space. When the forest defies these fundamental predictions, it creates a state of cognitive dissonance. This mental conflict is stressful. The brain is forced to work overtime, trying to make sense of a reality that no longer follows the rules it understands. This sustained mental effort can lead to exhaustion, paranoia, and a heightened state of anxiety. This is the neurological basis for the terror the forest inspires. It is not just the quiet itself, but what the quiet does to our internal processing. It attacks our core sense of reality. The forest dismantles our perception of the world, brick, by removing the auditory mortar that holds it all together. You are left feeling unmoored, adrift in a sea of silent confusion. The fear comes from the realization that you cannot trust your own senses. The forest doesn't have to have monsters. It makes a monster out of the quiet, turning your own mind against you. When the brain is placed in a sensory vacuum, it does not simply sit and wait for new information. It actively tries to create it. This phenomenon is the likely source of the most terrifying legends of the silent forest, the whispers. These are known as acoustic or auditory hallucinations, and they are a common response to sensory deprivation. The brain's auditory cortex, now idle, can begin to fire spontaneously, creating phantom sounds. These often begin as simple noises like humming, ringing, or buzzing, a condition known as tinnitus, which becomes maddeningly loud in a silent environment. But the brain is a pattern-seeking organ. It will try to interpret these random neural firings as something meaningful, like speech. This is the same principle behind auditory pareidolia. where people hear words in the static of a radio or the rush of a fan. In the absolute silence of the forest, the brain would be desperately trying to find a pattern in its own biological noise. It might interpret the sound of blood flowing through the ears as a faint whisper. The longer a person stays, the more the brain tries to enhance these signals, making the whispers seem clearer and more distinct. This explains why the whispers are said to become more personal over time. The content of hallucinations is often drawn from the subject's own thoughts, memories, and especially their fears. So when a hiker reports hearing their deepest anxieties whispered in their mind, it is not the forest speaking to them. It is their own subconscious mind, amplified by the silence and projected back at them by a brain desperate for input. The forest becomes a mirror, reflecting the darkest corners of a person's psyche. It is a terrifyingly intimate and invasive experience, a forced confrontation with your own inner demons. Therefore, the science suggests that the entire legend of the forest can be explained without resorting to the paranormal. A unique geological formation creates a zone of absolute silence. This sensory deprivation causes disorientation and panic. The brain, starved of input, begins to generate acoustic hallucinations, interpreting its own internal noise as whispers. These whispers are shaped by the individual's own fears, creating a personalized psychological horror. The earth itself becomes a catalyst for a journey into madness, proving that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we carry inside us all along. The legends of the Silent Forest remained stories until 2018. The Ethelberg Expedition, a UK research group, aimed to document the phenomenon. Led by Dr. Alistair Finch, the team included a survival expert, documentarian, and geology student. Equipped with professional gear, they planned controlled entries, documenting the sound's disappearance and physiological effects. They established a base camp outside the acoustic boundary. For 2 days, everything went as planned. Journals described the silence with scientific curiosity. On day 3, their confidence waned. Dr. Finch became obsessed with the silence's source. Against objections, Finch and Ben planned a longer expedition. They sought a major discovery. They were right, but not as they imagined. All that returned from Dr. Finch and Ben's final exploration was a single audio recorder, found days later by a local woodsman. Most of the files were corrupted, but one was partially recoverable, containing 46 minutes of audio. The recording begins with muffled footsteps and breathing. For 10 minutes, the audio is mundane. Then something changes. Ben's voice becomes agitated. "Did you hear that?" Around the 25-minute mark, Dr. Finch's scientific detachment shatters. "It's not just sound," he says. "It's a frequency. I can feel it in my teeth." After this, the recording descends into chaos. Dr. Finch's words are lost in bursts of static. The final minutes are the most disturbing. Amid the static, a low rhythmic hum emerges. Over this hum, Ben begins to scream. Then abruptly, the screaming stops. There is the sound of something heavy falling. The recording cuts out. That is all we have. When Dr. Finch and Ben didn't return, Kaylin and Sophia alerted authorities. A brief search found only the discarded audio recorder. The silent forest seemed to have swallowed them. The investigation closed, but Sophia and Kaylin continued searching. Sophia later described a profound change in Dr. Finch, a dangerous obsession. The forest called to him, promising answers. 6 months later, Dr. Finch was found, wandering, with no memory of the expedition. Ben was never found, another name on the whispered list of those lost to the silence. The expedition sought facts, but became a terrifying chapter in the legend of the forest that eats sound. The mystery of the silent forest takes another turn when viewed from above. In our modern age, very few places on Earth are unmapped. Satellites constantly circle the globe, photographing and documenting every inch of our world. Yet viewing the silent forest's coordinates on satellite mapping services reveals something strange. A hole in the world. A patch of missing data sits right where the forest should be. It's a distinct area of distortion, appearing warped, pixelated, or covered by static cloud cover. It's as if this specific patch of land has been deliberately scrubbed from the public record. This anomaly feels too specific, too persistent. Is someone trying to hide the forest? Deliberate obscuring of satellite data suggests that what's happening in that forest isn't entirely natural, hinting at human intervention. It implies powerful entities do not want the public to see something on the ground. The blank spot on the map says, "Nothing to see here with such force that it makes you certain there is something you absolutely must see. It is a secret being kept." Say, who is hiding the forest and why? Locals whisper of a nearby military presence, though no official bases are marked. Unmarked trucks and the thrum of helicopters have been reported. The theory suggests a hidden research facility lies deep within the woods. This would explain the need for secrecy and the satellite blackout. The forest's natural acoustic barrier would shield operations. Some speculate it's related to electromagnetic fields inducing paranoia and memory loss. Were the missing explorers victims of a natural force or test subjects? The local silence may be a shared fear of retaliation, protecting their families. What if the next great leap in military technology was about creating a perfect weaponized silence? Imagine a device that could replicate the effects of the silent forest deployed over a battlefield. It would instantly sow chaos and confusion. The psychological impact would be even more devastating. A military that could project an acoustic dead zone would possess a terrifying non-lethal weapon. It is a blueprint, a natural laboratory where this new form of warfare can be studied. The Athelberg expedition's fate takes on a new, darker meaning. They breached a perimeter they did not know existed and were neutralized. The forest is not just a research facility, it is a testing ground. The silence is being twisted into a weapon. It is hiding a truth that we were never meant to discover. We stand at the edge of the woods, peering into a silence that offers no easy answers. Is the silent forest a freak of nature, or is there a more sinister hand at play in this unsettling quiet? Could the whispers of a hidden military base be true, turning the entire forest into a convenient laboratory? The science of sensory deprivation tells us that the human brain, when starved of sound, will begin to consume itself, creating phantoms to fill the void. Yet, even with these theories, a core of the mystery remains. We are left with fragments that refuse to fit together neatly, leaving only the echo of unanswered questions and a deep feeling of unease. Ultimately, we must return to the forest itself. We must consider the possibility that it is exactly what the oldest legends claim it to be, a place with its own consciousness. Perhaps our attempts to explain it are too human-centric. What if the silence is not a passive absence of sound, but an active listening presence? An intelligence that has existed for eons, long before humanity tried to name it. It suggests that when you enter the woods, you're entering someone else's domain. The disappearances are not accidents, they are absorptions. The forest does not kill you, it quiets you, making you a part of its own eternal silence. A final terrifying dialogue with a consciousness so alien that the human mind shatters upon contact. It was an arrogant attempt to dissect something that should only have been regarded with awe and with fear. So the next time you find yourself in a place of deep quiet, stop and listen. The silence in that forest is not empty, it's listening. Subscribe for more documentaries like this one.